How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Voro Motors. I'm AJ Hart, here today with another video to discuss our rides. For today's video, I've got a lot that I actually want to talk about and some rules that I think need to be said. Because if I've learned anything from kicking around in the scooter scene, I've always got people saying, oh, the people in the cars don't follow the rules. And, oh, the people on the scooters don't follow the rules. And of course, oh, the people on the bikes don't follow the rules. It's a lot of different rules that we need to make sure we're following on the road, otherwise everybody's going to get mad at each other. Now I'm sure a lot of people are going to get mad at each other anyway, but we can all do our part to try to keep things civil, right? But more importantly, we need to make sure that we're staying safe. And that's kind of why these rules exist. Let's go ahead and start with this. Number one is something that I'm sure does not surprise many people, and that is that you need to be wearing a helmet. This isn't just a piece of advice, this is a real rule and law that you need to be following. But it is pretty nice. Now I recommend that you go out and get like an actual big full face helmet. I've got one actually, but it's not with me. I'll be right back. Bam, right here, see? I have a full face helmet because I know that if I'm cruising around at 25, 30 miles an hour and I take a fall, I'm gonna bust this money maker. And I can't risk that, because if I got a busted face, my boss would be up here like, AJ, you're too ugly to represent the company. So just to keep myself safe, I use a full face helmet. Now some people might say to just use a bicycle helmet, but that doesn't protect any of your like special kiss zone, right? And we can't risk our kiss zone. Number two, also pretty convenient and nice for our own safety. You got to make sure that you have your brakes working. Any vehicle on the road needs to have brakes. So this is a good reminder for you to just make sure that before you go out on any ride, test your brakes before you go. Make sure that when you squeeze the handle, it locks up, and if you squeeze the handle too tight, your brake doesn't just pop out. These can both be really bad issues, and you really don't want to be responsible for anybody getting hurt, yourself or someone else included. Number three is where our rules become a little bit of our bummers. You are not allowed to go over 25 miles per hour on your scooter. Unless it is on a class, yeah, I had you there for a second, didn't I? Unless it's on a class 2 or class 4 bikeway. Now I know what you're thinking. What the heck is a class 2 or class 4 bikeway? I didn't know at first either, but I do have this handy guide. So these two are gonna go right here, kapow! Or it's on my full screen. I really don't know how I'm gonna edit this together yet. But these are two types of bikeways that you're going to see pretty commonly within streets. The class 2 bike lane is the one that you're probably most comfortable seeing or most used to seeing. That's going to be the style that's got the little white lines on the side. It's usually on the shoulder of a road, and it's usually not through like a residential place, right? This is a place that usually the cars can gun it to. So we're allowed to give it a little bit of the juice. And then a class 4 bike lane is essentially similar. It's those green bike lanes that you see usually mostly in cityscapes. It's those special bikeways that are just for you as a bike rider. But kind of the big thing here is that both of these bike lane types are separated in a way that you're only going to have traffic that's going the same direction as you. This is probably because this is a rule meant to keep us riders safe from each other. We don't want to do any head-on collisions either on our bikes or on our motorized scooters. So if you know that everybody's going the same way and you're not going to run into somebody else, then odds are you probably can give it a little bit more of that oomph and get these babies cruising. Now granted, all of our scooters go at max 25 miles per hour anyway, so this isn't a problem that you're going to need to worry about with us Voro scooters. Rule number 4, you do still need to have a driver's license. Like a driver's license, one for cars, one for motorized vehicles, one for driving. You can't just be like a little 12-year-old that hops on one of these things and you're gonna cruise around at 25 miles per hour. That's not allowed. You need to know the rules of the road, and you need to make sure that you're following those rules. Rule number 5, no doubles. You're not allowed to be riding this with somebody else on board. So legally, if you put a kiddie bar on your seat, I don't see that. I'll be honest, I think that this is a rule that was established here in California just to keep the public scooters safer for people, because there were so many accidents about people riding those and then falling over on one of them with their kid holding onto the stem. This is a rule technically, so I do have to tell you not to break that rule. just due diligence and for my conscience, because I don't want you getting a fine. But you're not technically supposed to have a kiddie or a second seat on your scooter. But I do know that that's something that a lot of people ask for on their scooters, so that's why we provide a safe way to do that. Rule number 6 is that you are legally required to have both hands, or at least one hand, on the scooter at all times. Don't try to do some sick stunt and take your hands off because of 3 reasons. 1, it's illegal. 2, you can get hurt. And 3, most importantly, it does not look cool. You look like a dork. You're on a scooter. All right, let's not get too excited here. You're not an extreme spectacular. You're a guy on a scooter. And I love this about you. But it's a reality we need to accept within ourselves that no one's impressed by us putting our hands up. Rule number 7, it's actually a fine and illegal to just leave your scooters kicking around in the middle of the streets. I know that a lot of people do that with those shared scooters, and not only is it a dick move, but it's also going to get you in trouble. So don't do that because it's rude and because you're not supposed to. That's 2 reasons why not to do it. I think that that's pretty clear and I shouldn't be needing to remind you. Also, if you're buying your own personal scooter, I'm sure that this isn't something that you're running into, but watch out for your homies. Make sure that they're not breaking those rules. I'm going to get sweat in my eyeball and I'm going to cry like a big baby. Rule number 8, your handlebars cannot be above your shoulders. Now this is a weird rule and it took me a little bit to understand what the hell they meant by that. And I guess it's so that like you aren't like, you know, what is that called? Monkey bars? When like old choppers used to have it when people would sit back and have their hands way up. You can't do that on a scooter. Now I tried to sit around and think about what setup somebody would have for that, and the best I can think of is that somebody had maybe the cruiser and they put a seat on it and they brought the handlebars way up. And I don't know why somebody would do that other than to look like a goobus. But that is also not allowed. Probably because when you have your hands way up like that, you don't have a lot of control over the turning. And again, you can end up hurting yourself or hurting somebody around you. A lot of these rules are just for public safety. They're not because they don't want you doing cool stuff. There's reason behind all of these. I want to just remind you all, I mentioned before that you need to have a driver's license. And that's because these scooters are motorized vehicles, which means that you have to follow all the same rules that a normal motorized vehicle follows. Stopping at stop signs, stopping at crosswalks, sure that you're making a turn only when you have the right of way, not because you feel like it or because it looks clear. Definitely not because it's a mistake I've ever made, but make sure that you aren't trying to just sneak past a bus on the right side where people get off because you can sneak by, because that's also against the law and you could hurt somebody. I didn't hurt anybody, not that I did this. So just make sure that when you're out there and you're riding these, you're riding smart. Wear a helmet, treat it like an actual motor vehicle because it is, and somebody can get hurt when people are going at speeds like this. And I do think that it's important to kind of remind everybody about these. As scooters become more popular, this is something that we all as riders need to be mindful of, and it's something that we all as riders need to be strict about. We got to make sure that these things are safe for everybody involved. Us, the people near us, and the people riding with us. With that being said, that's going to be where I go ahead and leave this video today. As always, thank you all so much for watching. If you have any ideas for other videos you'd like to see us do, go ahead and drop those in the comments down below. If you have any questions or concerns about your scooters, drop those in the comments down below as well. As always, thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoy your ride.